Hey, basketball enthusiasts, get ready to chuckle and cheer because out of today's whopping 15 games, we've handpicked 8 that absolutely tickle our prediction funny bone. Let's dive into the fun right now. The first prediction for today is for the game between Orlando Magic and Philadelphia 76ers. As the Orlando Magic square off against the Philadelphia 76ers at the Wells Fargo Center, we're on the brink of a hoop showdown that's set to enthrall fans far and wide. The 76ers, fueled by the heat of a 6-game hot streak, are ready to lock horns and defend their court against a Magic squad eager to rebound from a tough loss to the Bucks. With the 76ers tipped by 6.5 points and the game total pegged at 2-1-1, this clash spells out a high-octane battle of wits and skills on the court. The Sixers, fresh from a dominant 120-102 win over the Pistons, have been tearing up the court with Joel Embiid leading the charge. Embiid, dropping 37 points and snagging 11 rebounds last game, has been the offensive juggernaut for Philly, while their defense has been putting the clamps on teams, showcasing a level of tactical finesse that's hard to match. The blend of Embiid's scoring spree and the Sixers' defensive clout forms the bedrock of their winning formula. On the flip side, the Magic, despite a 117-99 hiccup against the Bucks, have been flashing signs of brilliance. With Cole Anthony's sniper-like accuracy and Paolo Banchero's versatile contributions, the Magic remain a threat, signaling their readiness to defy the odds. Yet their recent performance, hampered by rebounding woes and turnover troubles, throws a bit of a shade on their showdown with the 76ers. A closer look at the stats gives the Sixers an upper hand in offensive efficiency and board control at home, a key to their stronghold at the Wells Fargo Center. The Magic, though formidable on the road, have hit bumps in maintaining this level of play, particularly when games stack back-to-back, revealing fatigue as a key player. History shows that when these teams battle in Philly, the home squad usually comes out on top, with the 76ers leveraging their home court to dismantle the Magic's game plan. The Sixers' knack for tightening the defensive screws and shining in crunch time has been a highlight of their matchups. Considering the Magic's road game hiccups against Eastern Conference rivals and the Sixers' knack for beating the spread lately, the odds favor Philadelphia. Their scoring prowess, defensive solidity, and the momentum from their win streak mark them as the squad to watch. Betting trends highlight the 76ers not just as victors, but also as spread beaters, making them a solid pick for this face-off. The over-under also calls for attention, with both teams leaning towards high-scoring games, especially the 76ers, whose offensive engine tends to push the total over the line. To wrap up, the Philadelphia 76ers, with their impressive home record, offensive sharpness, and defensive toughness, are set to not just clinch the win, but also cover the 6.5-point spread against the Orlando Magic. The dynamics of this face-off, alongside the 76ers' statistical supremacy, cements them as the frontrunners. With the scoring capabilities of both teams and their recent trends, anticipate a game that surpasses the 211 points threshold, showcasing a scoring spectacle. I'm banking on the Philadelphia 76ers to triumph and beat the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Indiana Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers. As the NBA season hits its peak with teams jostling for playoff spots, the showdown at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse between the Indiana Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers is set to be a blockbuster far beyond a typical end-of-season affair. This clash not only has playoff seeds hanging in the balance, but also presents an enticing scene for bettors, with the Cavaliers stepping onto the court as favorites by a hair, leading by 3 points, amid a high-flying over-under marker at 233.5 points. The Pacers have been tearing up the court with a commendable track record of 46-35 outright wins and covering the spread in 43 of those games. With a few ties in the mix, their recent triumphs over heavy hitters like the Heat, Thunder, and Raptors, not to mention their scorching scoring average of 122.7 points on a sizzling shooting efficiency of 50.5%, highlight their offensive might. Their knack for sinking buckets from downtown and at the free throw line, spiced up by the electrifying performances of Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton, places them at the zenith of league stats for points per game and shooting accuracy. On the flip side, the Cavaliers, boasting a solid 47-33 win-loss record and 37 wins against the spread, have showcased their defensive mettle despite grappling with ups and downs. With an ironclad defense that limits foes to 110.1 points on 46.3% shooting, their prowess in this arena is amplified by Donovan Mitchell's impressive guard play and Jarrett Allen's control of the rebounding battle, positioning them among the league's defensive elites despite their offensive hiccups. Diving into their head-to-head matchups, the Pacers have slightly edged out with a 2-1 lead, both outright and against the spread this season, though the Cavaliers' win in the latest encounter hints at a changing tide, adding layers to the betting calculus. Looking at back-to-back performance metrics, especially with the Pacers riding high off a recent dominant win over the Raptors, their sustained energy and execution underscore their tenacity, potentially swaying the outcome of this encounter. The Pacers' offensive juggernaut, leading the charge in scoring and efficiency, is set to clash with the Cavaliers' formidable defense in a classic showdown of attack versus resistance. Yet, with the Cavs' home court advantage and their pressing playoff ambitions, they hold a slight upper hand. The Cavaliers' recent return to full health and their historical dominance at home against the Pacers, coupled with Indiana's defensive struggles against in-paint plays, tilt the odds in favor of Cleveland exploiting those weaknesses. Given the Pacers' recent form and lethal offense, they're expected to fiercely contest, likely driving the score beyond the 233.5-point line. Nevertheless, the Cavaliers' strategic defense, home advantage, and playoff urgency position them as the likely victors to not only clinch the win, but also beat the spread. Banking on Cleveland's balanced attack and sturdy defense, particularly in their home territory, should see them through against the Pacers' scoring barrage. As both teams grasp the high stakes, anticipate a nail-biter, with Cleveland eventually pulling ahead to celebrate a win and surpass the 3-point spread. My money's on the Cleveland Cavaliers to emerge victorious and cover the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Brooklyn Nets and New York Knicks. In the electrifying atmosphere of Madison Square Garden, a legendary battleground known for epic basketball clashes, the stage is set for the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks to reignite their epic rivalry. This encounter isn't just another episode in their long-standing feud, but a showcase of the NBA's sheer unpredictability. The Knicks, boasting an impressive tally of 47 wins against 32 losses, have been formidable on their home court with a 25-14 record at the Garden this season. Their recent streak has been phenomenal, clinching victories against the league's elite, notably triumphing over the Celtics, fueled by Jalen Brunson's stunning 39-point performance, averaging 112.7 points on 46.5% shooting, while keeping opponents to 108.1 points, highlights their offensive firepower and defensive tenacity. On the flip side, the Brooklyn Nets, sitting at a 32-48 record, are facing an uphill battle. Despite their struggles, recent triumphs, like the one against the Raptors, reveal a resilience that can't be ignored. Led by Cam Thomas and Mikal Bridges, their offense has been notching 110.8 points, though with a slightly lower shooting efficiency than the Knicks. Their defense, on the other hand, has been porous, allowing 130.5 points on average. In their face-offs in the Big Apple, the Knicks have dominated recent encounters, bagging 5 straight wins against the Nets. This supremacy is also reflected in the stats, especially in rebounding and shooting accuracy, both from the field and from distance. Digging deeper, the Knicks have excelled against teams below 500, especially at home, while the Nets have faltered in covering the spread in away games following a victory. These trends offer a glimpse into the potential dynamics of this matchup. Injuries and player availability could tip the scales, with both teams eager to continue their winning ways. The Knicks, fueled by their recent form and Jalen Brunson's MVP caliber season, seem to have the advantage. However, the Nets' tenacity and the Knicks' challenge of playing consecutive games may even out the odds, making the 11.5-point spread seem daunting for the Knicks to surpass. After considering stats, recent performances, and the historical backdrop of Madison Square Garden, the Knicks are favored to clinch a win, driven by their scoring depth and defensive strength. Nevertheless, the Nets, with nothing to lose, are poised to give the Knicks a run for their money, potentially making the game tighter than expected. In essence, brace for a nail-biter that epitomizes the unpredictable thrill of the NBA. The Knicks are likely to secure a victory, reinforcing their playoff bid, but the Nets, fueled by determination and a disruptor's spirit, are set to challenge the 11.5-point spread turning this into a much closer showdown. My money's on the Brooklyn Nets to beat the 11.5-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Los Angeles Lakers and Memphis Grizzlies. Tonight, the stage is set at FedEx Forum, where the Los Angeles Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies are about to go head-to-head in a showdown that's more than just a mark on the season's game log. The Lakers are hustling hard to swerve past the 10th spot in the Western Conference, while the Grizzlies are fighting to claw back some dignity from a season that's been battered by injuries. This matchup is loaded with subplots that go beyond first glance. Coming in hot with a mixed bag of wins and losses, including a tough blow from the Warriors that exposed their weak perimeter defense, the Lakers are hitting the court with an offense that's dropping an impressive 117.9 points a game on nearly 50% shooting accuracy. Led by the dynamic duo of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they're packing enough heat to tear through defenses, although Davis's playtime is on thin ice due to health concerns. On the other end, the Grizzlies are barely keeping pace, limping through a season plagued with key players sidelined. Despite the setbacks, guys like Jake LaRavia have been stepping up, proving the team's depth and resilience. However, with the squad struggling to make shots and stop others from making theirs, they're facing a steep uphill battle. When it comes to past encounters, the Lakers traditionally had the upper hand, but recent performances in Memphis paint a different picture, showing a Grizzlies team ready to fight with all they've got, especially on their home turf. This narrative, alongside the Lakers' urgent push for a stronger playoff spot, primes us for a showdown where tactics, determination, and raw hustle could very well tip the balance. Injury updates are crucial today, with the Lakers potentially down one Anthony Davis and the Grizzlies navigating a sea of injuries, including stars like Ja Morant and Desmond Bane. These factors, together with recent play, set the scene for a clash of two teams at a crossroads, each eager to make a statement. Looking at season stats, the Lakers shine with their scoring efficiency, though their defense against the three has been wanting. The Grizzlies have been struggling offensively, but have shown a scrappy ability to defy expectations, even when the odds are stacked against them. Considering what's at stake, the dynamics of securing playoff spots, and how the Lakers tend to fare against injury-hit teams, the needle points to a Lakers win. Yet, with a hefty 16-point advantage predicted by bookmakers for the Lakers, the Grizzlies' recent history of beating the odds and the potential absence of key Lakers players suggest the Grizzlies will keep it closer than expected. So, expect the Lakers to clinch the win, but for the Grizzlies to hold the line and cover the spread. As for the total score, while both teams have had their moments of defensive lapses, and the Lakers can put up big numbers, an under scenario looks more likely, considering the Grizzlies' offensive struggles and the Lakers' possible emphasis on tightening up their defense to seal the deal. In short, betting on the Lakers for the win, the Grizzlies to beat the 16-point spread, and the total points to stay under 226.5 seems like the smart play. The next prediction for today is for the game between Atlanta Hawks and Minnesota Timberwolves. As the Atlanta Hawks gear up for a Friday night showdown at the Target Center against the Minnesota Timberwolves, the anticipation in the air is electric, sending ripples of excitement through the basketball community. Positioned at the lower end of the Eastern Conference spectrum, with a record that leaves much to be desired, 36-44, the Hawks are stumbling into this interconference duel on a disappointing 4-game losing streak, having recently suffered a narrow defeat at the hands of the Charlotte Hornets. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves are basking in the glory of the Western Conference's upper echelon, holding a commanding second-place standing with an impressive 55-25 tally, even after a minor hiccup against the Denver Nuggets. A deep dive into the numbers reveals the Hawks' offensive prowess, averaging a commendable 118.7 points on 46.6% shooting. However, their defensive lapses are a glaring weakness, conceding 120.3 points on 49.3% shooting. Despite the scoring fireworks from DeJounte Murray and Bogdan Bogdanovic, Atlanta's defensive frailties and Trae Young's cautious return from injury, coupled with the squad's overall health issues, raise concerns about their competitiveness. On the flip side, Minnesota boasts a defensive fortress, leading the league by limiting opponents to just 106 points on 44.6% shooting. The dynamic duo of Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns spearheads the Timberwolves' attack, which, when paired with their ironclad defense, positions them as serious contenders for the Western Conference crown. Their formidable home record, 29-10 SU, highlights their dominance at the target center. Historically, the Hawks have held the edge in their recent encounters with the Timberwolves, clinching 7 out of the last 10 matchups. Yet, given the current dynamics and what's at stake, this statistic seems less pertinent. The Timberwolves are eyeing the top playoff spot with a zeal that far surpasses the Hawks' ambitions, who appear resigned to their play-in tournament destiny. Considering the injury landscape and team strategies, it's likely the Hawks will prioritize the health of their star players for the play-in tournament, skewing the odds in favor of Minnesota. The Timberwolves' superior shooting accuracy, both from the field and beyond the arc, especially on their home turf, coupled with their top-tier defense, signifies a distinct advantage in this clash. Factoring in Minnesota's push for a premier playoff position and their statistical edge, particularly in defensive efficiency and home performance, the forecast heavily leans towards the Timberwolves. Expected to leverage their home court and facing a possibly weakened Hawks ensemble, Minnesota is poised to notch a victory and cover the 12-point spread, albeit in a duel that promises to keep the margin tight. In sum, although the Atlanta Hawks have the potential to disrupt, particularly with Trae Young's return, the current momentum, defensive strength, and objectives align in favor of the Minnesota Timberwolves clinching this battle, with the Hawks' form in decline, mounting injuries, and Minnesota's robust home prowess and defensive metrics anticipate the Timberwolves to cover the spread in a match that epitomizes their quest for the Western Conference pinnacle. My wager is firmly on the Minnesota Timberwolves to triumph and surpass the 12-point margin. The next prediction for today is for the game between Milwaukee Bucks and Oklahoma City Thunder. In the exhilarating world of NBA basketball, the Milwaukee Bucks are gearing up for a high-stakes showdown with the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Paycom Center. This epic confrontation pits two basketball powerhouses from the East and West against each other. Fresh off a dynamic win against the Orlando Magic, even without their superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Bucks have shown their depth and tenacity. Meanwhile, the Thunder, holding the third seed in the Western Conference, have been demonstrating their dominance with a notable win over the Spurs. Despite Giannis being out for the season with a calf injury, the Bucks have not missed a beat. Damian Lillard and Bobby Portis have really risen to the occasion, with Lillard dazzling with his scoring and assists, and Portis showing off his versatility and knack for getting points on the board. Their ability to step up is crucial as they look toward the playoffs without their MVP. On the offensive front, Milwaukee is ranked 7th, maintaining solid performance despite a slower pace. Their defense, however, is a different story, ranked at 19th, which could be a vulnerability the Thunder might exploit, given their offensive prowess. The Thunder, on the other hand, have been unstoppable, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leading the charge. Jalen Williams and rookie Chet Holmgren have been instrumental, enriching the team's offensive and defensive plays, ranking 5th in efficiency on both ends of the court, and boasting a pace that's just as impressive. They're a force to be reckoned with. The synergy between Gilgeous-Alexander's scoring and defensive skills, combined with the contributions from Williams and Holmgren, sets the bar high. Looking at the recent face-off history in Oklahoma City, the Bucks clinched a win over the Thunder with a significant lead in late March. But with Giannis and possibly Lillard out for Milwaukee, the game dynamics change. The Thunder's home advantage and their quest to solidify their position in the West add another layer of intensity to the matchup. Milwaukee's ability to adapt and stay competitive, even without key players, is commendable. Yet the Thunder, with their consistent performance, offensive firepower, and defensive strength, particularly on their home turf, emerge as the favorites. Their leading stats in blocks per game and forcing opponent turnovers versus the Bucks' struggle in these areas give the Thunder a strategic advantage. Considering these factors and the possibility that the Bucks might be aiming for a strategic playoff seeding that could lead to a less aggressive approach, the scales tip towards the Oklahoma City Thunder not only triumphing but also beating the spread. The absence of Milwaukee's key players, combined with the Thunder's form and home advantage, point to a probable win for Oklahoma City. Expect them to leverage their defensive strategies and scoring depth to clinch a victory and surpass the 13-point spread, with the total points likely to exceed 225.5, reflecting the offensive capabilities of both squads at their peak. My prediction favors the Oklahoma City Thunder to not just win, but also to cover the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between New Orleans Pelicans and Golden State Warriors. At the electrifying Chase Center, the New Orleans Pelicans are lacing up to throw down with the Golden State Warriors in a showdown that transcends a mere regular season skirmish. This face-off narrates the saga of two squads with divergent journeys, yet identical in their high-stakes ambition, as they hustle for prime slots before the playoff showdown. The Pelicans, buoyed by their string of conquests against the Suns, Trailblazers, and Kings, are flaunting an offensive firepower hard to ignore. Clocking in at an average of 114.9 points on a stellar 48.6% from the field, their attack is amped up by Zion Williamson's dominance on the court, dropping 22.9 points and snagging 5.8 boards per outing. Yet, the cloud of uncertainty over Brandon Ingram's playtime, courtesy of a knee niggle, spices up the narrative. Nevertheless, C.J. McCollum's scorching form, lighting up the scoreboard with 29-point outings, underscores the Pelicans' depth and adaptability. Defensively, the Pelicans pack a punch, clamping down on adversaries to 110.4 points on 46.1% shooting. Their knack for stifling rivals' trays to a mere 34.8% stands out, especially against a Warriors squad that thrives on the perimeter. The Warriors, striding in with their own trove of triumphs and a slight upper hand in scoring at 118 points per game, see Stephen Curry as their offensive cornerstone, averaging 26.4 points and dishing out 5.1 assists per game. However, their defensive leaks, conceding 115.5 points on 46.6% shooting, hint at chinks in their armor the Pelicans might exploit. Recent faceoffs tip the scales towards the Pelicans, especially their emphatic 36-point drubbing of the Warriors last January, showcasing their capability to breach Golden State's defenses. The Pelicans' commitment to a solid defensive front and prowess in the paint might just edge them ahead, yet the Warriors' home fortress at Chase Center and their top-tier rebounding stat can't be overlooked. Their sharpshooting from downtown posts is a hefty challenge. Player availability, especially with question marks around Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Brandon Ingram, could sway the game's flow. But the depth and grit of both teams suggest they're equipped to counter any absences. Considering both squads' recent form, comparative stats, and their historic clashes in San Francisco, this duel is set up to be a neck-and-neck contest. The Pelicans' defensive sharpness against three-pointers could be decisive against a Warriors team banking on perimeter success. Furthermore, the Pelicans strive to clinch a higher seeding, and the Warriors, possibly resting K players, might just tip the balance in favor of New Orleans. So, with the Pelicans' ironclad defense, the potential shifts due to player injuries on the Warriors' side, and their past performances at Chase Center, the bet leans towards the New Orleans Pelicans not just beating the spread, but clinching a road victory. Their strategic defense, coupled with the offensive dynamism of Williamson and McCollum, is poised to steer them past the Warriors in this pivotal clash. The last prediction for today is for the game between Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings. In the charged atmosphere of the Golden One Center, the stage is set for a high-octane NBA clash between the Phoenix Suns and the Sacramento Kings, a matchup that's got fans perched on the edge of their seats in anticipation. The Suns, fresh off a scintillating victory over the Clippers, have been flaunting their scoring chops with a solid 48.4% shooting accuracy from the field and an impressive 36% from downtown, marking them as a scoring juggernaut. Devin Booker, with a stellar 37-point performance, has been the linchpin in Phoenix's scoring machine, his sharpshooting playing a crucial role. Sporting a 47-33 record, the Suns roll into this game as a powerhouse, with their stats painting them as a balanced threat on both ends of the floor. Meanwhile, the Sacramento Kings, despite a recent hiccup against the Thunder, have been lighting up the scoreboard all season long. With an average of 116.5 points per game and a 47.6% shooting efficiency, they have a knack for keeping the points ticking. De'Aaron Fox, dropping 33 points against Oklahoma City, has been steering Sacramento's offensive ship, his agility and scoring prowess making defenders sweat. When you break down the stats, the Suns shine in shooting efficiency, especially from the free throw line, and edge out in playmaking with a higher assist count. Their defensive game plan has been fruitful, allowing them to disrupt plays and curb scoring chances for their opponents. However, the Kings' prowess in offensive rebounds and their steady 36.5% shooting from beyond the arc highlight a team that's relentless in carving out scoring opportunities. The narrative of their recent face-offs in Sacramento tells of tightly contested duels, with the home court advantage tipping the scales. The Kings' ability to tap into the Golden One Center's electrifying energy is a factor not to be overlooked, especially from a psychological standpoint. Despite the Suns' formidable form and balanced attack, the Kings have a history of stepping up against top-tier teams. Critical elements like shooting accuracy, three-point efficiency, and rebounding, which are pivotal in swaying NBA games, tend to favor the Kings on their home turf. Moreover, without the strain of back-to-back games, both teams will hit the floor well-rested and primed, making strategy and star performances the likely deciders over fatigue. Given the statistical breakdown, recent forms, and the home side edge, the forecast points to a match that will challenge the bookmakers' predictions. The Suns have the offensive might and defensive smarts to take on any challenger, yet the Kings, with their scoring efficiency, disciplined play, and the boost from their home crowd, are in a prime position to not only beat the spread, but possibly clinch a victory in what's expected to be a scoring spree. Hence, although the Suns enter as the favorites with a 5-point spread, the dynamics of this showdown, coupled with the Kings' scoring drive and home advantage, hint at betting on the Sacramento Kings. Anticipate the total points to soar past the 225-point mark, with both teams' penchant for scoring setting the stage for a shootout. My wager, the Sacramento Kings to beat the 5-point spread.